Next on Worcester News Tonight, heavy traffic in city school zones is a public safety concern for one city councilor. He's now taking steps to fix it. Plus, a Worcester man is facing a murder charge in connection to a fatal shooting in the city. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. Crowded streets around Worcester Public Schools is concerning for city officials. The police department is working to assess why schools become a public safety concern during pickup and drop-off times. This after families in a local neighborhood filed a petition to City Council. Our Cam Jandro is live in Worcester tonight with the details. Cam?
Anna, the beginning and end of the school day can be hectic, whether it's kids getting on the bus, crossing the street, or even looking for their ride home. That's why the city of Worcester wants to step in and better expedite this process to make sure that all parties involved are more safe. City Councilor Matt Wally is concerned the roads around area schools can be dangerous during drop-off and pickup times.
And you have cars parked or lined up on either side of the road, and in many cases it's a public safety issue because, God forbid, if there was a fire or an ambulance needed to get by.
Wally says it's an issue at most Worcester public schools. Police Chief Stephen Sargent has been reviewing a survey assessing safety conditions. According to Sargent, many of the neighborhoods around the schools are simply not fit for high amounts of traffic.
95% of our schools were built when everybody walked from the neighborhood, so they weren't designed for, these are neighborhood schools that weren't designed for buses, all the activity, all the drop-offs.
More than 160 families from the Columbus Park area signed a petition saying traffic during the school day makes Lovell Street unsafe. Some who signed the petition took their concerns to Wednesday's Traffic and Parking Committee meeting.
It's just horrendous because there's no sidewalk, because the road eats up the sidewalk, basically.
Last month, Council asked the city manager to look into 3D crosswalks for dangerous intersections, particularly school zones. Wally says the goal now is to create a long-term solution with the manager and superintendent.
We want to make sure that we're dealing with it appropriately, specifically those children who might not have the awareness as they're walking to and from school or getting dropped off and running across the street to go to school.
Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight. Now, one of the ideas Councillor Wally had was the inclusion of more of these light-up crosswalks in school zones. Some other ideas tonight were the inclusion of more traffic officers around city schools, as well as a designated pickup and drop-off area at every Worcester public school. Live in Worcester tonight, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
The Massachusetts House overwhelmingly passes a distracted driving bill. The legislation would ban drivers from using their phones. The House giving the bill approval today. Drivers would be allowed to use Bluetooth or hands-free devices. They would also still be allowed to use a GPS mounted to their dashboard or windshield. The Senate plans to take up its own version of the bill next month. Tonight, a Worcester man is behind bars. The 26-year-old was in court today to face a murder charge in connection to a fatal shooting earlier this week. Police say they used the victim's cell phone to track him down. Our Rutland Flaherty was at the suspect's arraignment today and has more.
26-year-old Devon Rivera tries to hide his face in court Wednesday. He is charged with murder in connection to a man found shot in a car on Russell Street this week. According to court documents, surveillance video revealed Rivera was in the front seat of the car.
To hear that happen right down the street, it's kind of sad and kind of scary.
Court documents show Worcester police used the 33-year-old victim's cell phone to find Rivera. When officers arrested him at his home on Sunderland Road, police say he had the victim's cell phone, heroin, and a .32 caliber semi-automatic firearm. Police say the ammunition matched shell casings at the scene.
Makes you feel, vulnerable.
Days later, broken glass is still visible on the street. According to police, the victim suffered from multiple gunshot wounds. People who live on the street say it's been quiet the past few years and are shocked to hear this happened.
Something like this is kind of like, you would say rare now. Little kids are out here all the time, so it's like, you always got to be on alert.
A few years back it was really rough. Now it's kind of, unusual.
That was our Rosalind Flaherty reporting. The town of Rutland holding a celebration in honor of Peace Officer Memorial Day, recognizing the sacrifices of law enforcement. The holiday began in 1962 to recognize the sacrifices of the nation's fallen law enforcement officers. Wednesday, Rutland honored their police departments past and present.
We want this to be that opportunity to just say thank you for your service. Thank you for keeping watch over Rutland since 1722.
He was held at the old burial ground cemetery where the town's first constable, Moses Howe, is buried. Prior to the establishment of the police department in 1934, law enforcement was handled by constables. In 1995, the town hired its first full-time chief of police, Ralph Anderson. Anderson, who turns 80 in 2 weeks, began service in 1968 and says he appreciates the town's recognition.
You know, you worked, you left, that was it. People forgot about you and everything, but this is something that's good.
Anderson says his advice for police officers today is to stay safe. The Worcester County District Attorney's Office recognizes young attorneys in its mock trial competition. The competition is a training program for assistant district attorneys. They're broken up into 2 different groups, prosecutors and defense attorneys, and work with judges in a mock trial situation. Jessica Crane was named Best Defense Counsel and given an award honoring the late Cassius Smith. Molly Madeo won for Best Prosecutor, won an award honoring her late father, John Madeo. District Court Judge Andrew D'Angelo says the program's goal is to ensure Worcester County has the highest caliber lawyers trying cases.
A program where judges and mentors could train new lawyers into how to try a case the best way possible.
Both award recipients will move on to a statewide competition, which will take place in Boston at the end of this month. For the first time in decades, a preliminary election is needed in the race for the Worcester School Committee. There will be a preliminary in the City Council at-large race. Both feature more than a dozen candidates vying for 6 seats, and it should make for a very busy election season in the city. Our Brittany Schaefer spoke with candidates today and has more.
The race for city councilor at large is drawing a crowd. 15 candidates are vying for 6 seats, meaning there will be a preliminary election. Former 6-term councilor Rick Rushton says he's not surprised.
They see good things happening, and with positive momentum, they want to be a part of the process.
Rushton says if the new prospects put in time now, knock on doors, and meet the community, an incumbent could lose their spot.
Some people have been in a long time, and they want to see potentially a new voice. Not saying that the incumbents are doing a particularly bad job, but you bring a new voice, a different perspective, good things can happen.
22-year incumbent Gary Rosen is no stranger to the process. He says he knew it was going to be a full ballot and has already started campaigning.
There might be 2 new councils at large, and it means Gary Rosen and all the incumbents have to work hard, as do all the challengers too. So it's going to be an exciting election season. I've been out there already for about 5 different weekend trips, but they do expect to see me out there in the street corners, and they certainly will.
Incumbent Christian King says new faces means an opportunity to better represent Worcester's diversity.
Good thing about a crowded field is that you're going to hear different perspectives. Nothing more important than representative government. We need those folks, we need those voices heard, and they need to be reflected in our elected representation.
Former District 1 Councillor Tony Economou is jumping back in the race in hopes of representing residents citywide.
It was just to give the people another option, another voice, consistency, maybe a voice of reason on the council, and we'll be stepping it up now.
With the nomination paperwork in, Rushton says this is where the work really ramps up.
You hit the streets in the dog days of summer. That's the key.
So it all starts now?
It starts now.
Now there will be at least 1 new face filling Constantina Luke's empty seat. The preliminary election will take place on September 10th. In Worcester, Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
More than 140 unified track athletes gathered at Foley Stadium today for a tri-meet. Worcester, Millbury, and Shrewsbury High School unified athletes participated in events including javelin, long jump, and the 100-meter dash. Worcester coach Jerry Snay says Special Olympics has given the schools an opportunity to blend athletes and give them a chance to compete in events they may not have had the chance to before.
Just have fun doing it. We're not going to keep score as far as who wins, who loses, because there aren't any losers. Everybody's trying something new and hopefully sets a new PR or runs a new race with a new PR there.
Worcester athlete Justice Batista has been on the unified track team for 2 years. He says he loves being a part of the team and meeting other kids from different schools. As a senior, he tries to encourage other athletes to do their best.
Just tell them to do it right and help them, but like if they need help running or stuff, or just tell them to do it next time. Or just do it like if like you're done with high school, you can come back like Coach said. It's just fun out here. It's just having fun.
Each season, the team competes in 4 track meets, the sectionals and the state championship. Following in his father's footsteps, Ronald Tarentino III is sworn in as a part-time dispatcher for the Auburn Police Department this week. Officer Tarantinos Son graduated from Worcester High School in 2014, enlisted in the Army, and has since completed his service. The Auburn Police Department says being a dispatcher may be a difficult job, and they know his father would be proud of him. Officer Tarentino was shot and killed in the line of duty in May of 2016. An almost $3,000 donation will help the Groton Police Department start up its K-9 program again. Students are working to raise more money for the fund and say they're happy with what they've received so far. The department says K-9 officers play a huge role for departments. Our Gretchen LaRosa has the story.
Groton Police Chief Michael Luth says the K-9 program is an essential tool for the police department.
K-9 gives us the ability to search for people, to detect narcotics, and find lost people in a much more efficient way than we would be doing it with just manpower.
Last year, their K-9 Lola lost her battle with cancer. Students from the Lawrence Academy noticed how much she meant to their community, and they wanted to do something to give back.
People were like, Lola like meant so much to us, or like Lola like reminded me of my dog, or so I just like think it impacted like people personally.
So we kind of got together as a group and started making posters. We made some wristbands and just getting the word around school.
It brings that kind of a homey feeling, I guess, to the town. I mean, you see like some of these bigger German Shepherds, you see some of like the smaller dogs like Lola was. It's that extra bit of backup.
The students began a fundraising campaign to help Groton Police continue their K-9 program. Chief Luth says the program is funded through donations alone.
The average operational life of a working dog is about 8 years, and whatever donations we get, we have to split up over at least 8 years.
He says he hopes the fundraising efforts will help foster the relationship between police officers and the community.
I'm hoping that this interaction, we both sides, meaning the police, the students, the citizens, get to see each other in their natural climate and realize that we're not that different. And I'm hoping it's something that's going to continue.